What would you do if the woman responsible for your misery was suddenly standing in your kitchen like she owned the place? Jake Harris didn't even kick his boots off when he walked into his apartment. His shoulders were wrecked, his back screamed, and his brain felt fried from another 16-hour shift that paid like trash. The only thing keeping him upright was knowing his daughter, Lily, was staying with his sister tonight. At least she wouldn't see him this wiped out. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tunning in from? And if you believe that stories of kindness, everyday miracles, and ordinary people deserve to be shared even further. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any journey like this one. The apartment should have been quiet. Dead quiet, but it wasn't. There was water running, a soft clink of dishes, movement. Jake froze, his heart slammed against his ribs. He grabbed the doorframe, listening. Someone was definitely inside, and whoever it was, they weren't sneaking around. They were comfortable. He moved slowly down the hallway, boots heavy, pulse wild. The kitchen light was on. A woman stood at his sink, washing his dishes. Jake's brain short-circuited. She turned around and the air left his lungs. Claire Whitmore, the CEO of Whitmore Industries, the untouchable powerhouse. The woman whose company owned his entire life. Standing in his kitchen, wearing jeans, a plain blouse, hair down like a normal person. "I know this looks insane," she said softly. Jake stared, hard. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" His voice came out rough, sharp. Claire swallowed. "I came to tell you the truth." "The truth?" Jake laughed bitterly. "Lady, unless the truth is that you've been robbing me blind, I don't want to hear it." Her face crumpled just a little. "I know," she said, "and that's exactly why I'm here." Silence crashed between them. "How did you even get in?" Jake demanded. "Your landlord," she said quietly. "I told him it was an emergency." Jake shook his head. "You don't do emergencies. You don't even know people like me exist." Claire flinched. "I do now." She gestured to the chair. "Please sit, just for a minute." Jake didn't trust her, didn't trust this. But something in her eyes, raw, wrecked, made his anger hesitate. "Talk," he said, staying standing. "Say whatever corporate apology speech you practiced." Claire took a breath. "Your supervisor has been stealing from you. For 2 years." That landed like a punch. She continued, voice shaking. "You weren't overworked because the company was short-staffed. You were overworked because you were being used." Jake felt the floor tilt. "And what I'm about to tell you next," she said, eyes locked on his, "is going to change everything you think you know about your life." Because Jake had no idea yet that this night would destroy the man he used to be and force him to become someone stronger. Jake didn't remember sitting down. 1 second he was standing there, ready to throw Claire out of his apartment, and the next, he was in the chair like his legs had straight up quit on him. His chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped duct tape around his ribs and kept pulling. "You're full of it," he muttered. "This is some corporate cleanup move, damage control." Claire didn't flinch. She reached into her bag and slowly pulled out her phone. "I wish it was," she said, "because this is ugly." She slid the phone across the table. Jake stared at the screen, payroll summaries, names he didn't recognize, positions that didn't exist. His eyes narrowed as he scrolled. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "Ghost employees," Claire replied. "3 of them. On paper, they've been working alongside you for 2 years." Jake's jaw tightened. "That's impossible." "It's not," she said quietly. "Their salaries were approved, their hours logged, but they never showed up because they were never real." A cold chill ran through him. "Your supervisor reported that you needed to temporarily cover the workload while HR finalized hiring," she continued. "Temporary turned into 2 years." Jake laughed under his breath, but there was no humor in it. "So all those nights I slept in my work clothes, that was by design." "Yes," the word hit hard. "And your performance reviews," Claire swallowed. They were altered. Your actual error rate is under 0.5%. Best in the department. Jake's head snapped up. Then why was I always told I wasn't ready for promotion? Because you were too valuable where you were, she said. You were doing the work of 4 people without complaining. His hands curled into fists. 2 years of believing he just wasn't good enough. 2 years of missed school events. 2 years of coming home so exhausted he barely remembered putting his daughter to bed. Why me? He asked hoarsely. Why screw me over? Claire met his eyes. Because you're reliable, because you don't cause problems. Because you kept showing up. Jake shoved the phone back across the table. So you find out and suddenly you care? She nodded once. I found out 2 days ago. I confronted him yesterday. He denied it. And I brought in internal audit, she said, her voice hardening. By last night I had proof. Jake leaned back, staring at the ceiling. So he's fired. Suspended. Pending termination and possible criminal charges. That helped. A little, but it didn't fix the knot in his chest. I believed them, Jake said quietly. Every time they said I needed to improve. I believed I was the problem. Claire's voice cracked. That's on me. Jake looked at her sharply. I built a system where that could happen, she said, and I didn't see it until it hurt someone who didn't deserve it. Silence swallowed the room. So what now? Jake asked. You say sorry and walk away. Claire leaned forward, eyes steady. No, now I make it right. But before Jake could ask what making it right really meant, a small voice from the hallway changed everything. Daddy, the word hit Jake like a sucker punch. His heart slammed so hard it actually hurt. He turned just as small footsteps padded down the hallway, soft and unsteady, like someone half awake and searching for safety. Lily stood there in her pajamas, clutching her worn, stuffed bear by one ear, her hair a messy halo around her face. Her eyes squinted against the kitchen light. Jake's brain went blank. She wasn't supposed to be home. Behind her, his sister Megan hovered near the door frame, guilt written all over her face. She woke up with a stomach ache, Megan whispered. She wouldn't settle down, kept asking for you. Jake swallowed hard. It's okay, he said, though nothing felt okay at all. Lily's gaze drifted past him, straight to Claire. The CEO, the most powerful person in Jake's world, standing barefoot in his kitchen like this was normal. Daddy, Lily said slowly, suspicious now. Who's that? Before Jake could scramble for words, Claire dropped to one knee. No hesitation at all. Hi, Lily, Claire said gently, like she wasn't worth billions and terrifying boardrooms for a living. I'm Claire. Lily tightened her grip on the bear. Why are you in our house? Jake's chest tightened. Claire glanced up at him, silently asking permission. He nodded once. I work with your dad, Claire said, and I came by to talk to him about some grown-up work stuff. Lily considered that. Kids always did. They never bought anything without a full internal investigation. Are you his boss? Lily asked. Claire smiled faintly. Sort of, Lily frowned. Then why do you look sad? The question hung in the air like a dropped glass. Jake sucked in a breath. Of course she noticed. Lily noticed everything. Claire didn't dodge it. Because I messed up, she said honestly. And I'm trying to fix it. Lily studied her for a long moment, then took a few cautious steps forward. You're not yelling, Claire shook her head. Nope. You're not on your phone either. Nope. Lily nodded like she'd just confirmed something important. She turned back to Jake. She doesn't seem mean. Jake almost laughed, almost cried. Megan cleared her throat. I'll get her some water, she said, backing away and giving Jake a look that screamed we are talking later. Lily climbed into Jake's arms like she'd done 1,000 times before, her head tucked under his chin. You're home early, she murmured. Yeah, kiddo, he said softly. Guess I got lucky tonight. Lily peeked over his shoulder at Claire. Are you staying? Claire froze. I don't know, she said carefully. Lily yawned. Okay, you can stay for a little. Daddy gets lonely. That one landed hard. Jake closed his eyes. Claire's expression shattered, surprise, guilt, something dangerously close to grief. "I'll only stay if it's okay with you," Claire said quietly. Lily nodded once, already half asleep. "Okay." Jake held his daughter tighter, suddenly aware that nothing in this room was just about work anymore. Because in that moment, Claire didn't see an employee. She saw the real damage her company had caused, and it had a child's face. Lily finally fell asleep on the couch, her stuffed bear tucked under her chin. One tiny hand curled into Jake's shirt like she was afraid he might disappear if she let go. Jake carried her to bed, moving slow, careful not to wake her. He brushed a kiss across her forehead and stood there for a second longer than necessary, letting the steady rhythm of her breathing calm the chaos in his chest. When he came back into the kitchen, Claire was wiping down the counter she'd already cleaned twice. "You don't have to do that," Jake said. "I know," she replied. "It helps me think." He leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. The silence between them felt heavier now, less explosive, more dangerous, the kind that followed a truth bomb. "She didn't mean what she said," Jake said quietly. "About me being lonely." Claire didn't look up. "Kids usually do." That stung, because it was true. Jake cleared his throat. "So what happens now?" Claire turned to face him. The softness from earlier was gone, not replaced by coldness, but by something firm, focused. "I want to offer you a promotion," she said. "Senior operations lead, real authority, real pay." Jake laughed once sharp. "Just like that?" "No," she said calmly, "not just like that. Like it should have happened 2 years ago." She laid it all out. 40% raise, normal hours, full benefits, back pay under legal review. Jake listened, but his stomach twisted harder with every word. "And this fixes it?" he asked. "You flip a switch and suddenly I'm management." "You've been managing already," Claire said. "You just weren't getting credit or sleep." Jake shook his head. "I don't want charity." "This isn't charity," she snapped, then softened. "This is me correcting a screw-up." He paced the kitchen. "And what do you get?" Claire didn't hesitate. "Accountability," he stopped. "That's not an answer." She met his stare. "I'm overhauling the company, audits, anonymous reporting. New oversight boards, I'm burning the old playbook. And if the board hates it, they already do." That surprised him. "You'd risk your position?" Jake asked. "Yes." The word landed heavy. "Why?" he pressed. "Because you feel guilty." Her jaw tightened. "Because I don't want Lily growing up thinking this is how adults treat each other." That shut him up. "I built something broken," she continued. "And if fixing it costs me power, so be it." Jake exhaled slowly. Hope crept in, uninvited and dangerous. "I don't trust this," he admitted. "You shouldn't," Claire said. "Not yet." She picked up her coat. "Think about it. No pressure, no deadlines." She paused at the door. "But whether you say yes or no, I'm still fixing this." The door closed behind her. Jake stood alone in his kitchen, staring at the spot where she'd been. For the first time in years, his future wasn't clear, and that scared him more than being stuck ever did. Because Hope had just walked into Jake's life, and he wasn't sure if it was about to save him or break him all over again. Jake didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, his brain replayed the same question on a loop. What if this is real? And right after it came the scarier one, what if it isn't? By morning, Lily was eating cereal at the table, swinging her legs like nothing in the world was wrong. "Why do you look tired?" she asked, squinting at him. Jake forced a smile. "Because grown-up decisions are exhausting." She nodded like that made perfect sense. An hour later, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. "I'm in," he said the second the call connected. "But if this turns into corporate nonsense, I'm out." Claire's exhale was audible. "That's fair." And just like that, everything started moving fast. Too fast. By the end of the week, Jake had a new badge, a new title, and a desk that still felt like it belonged to someone else. People who used to grab lunch with him now called him sir and acted weird. He hated that part. What surprised him more was Claire. She didn't vanish into glass offices. She showed up, walked the floors, sat in meetings without interrupting, actually listened. When she said she was changing things, she meant it. Overtime caps, transparent reviews, real consequences. It pissed off a lot of people. Good. One afternoon, Jake overheard two managers whispering in the hall. "This place is different now." Yeah, that was the point. But change came with weight. Late one night, Jake stayed behind to finish reports. When he looked up, Claire was standing in the doorway holding two coffees. "You forgot to go home," she said. "So did you." They shared a look of tired understanding. "I'm not used to this," Jake admitted. "Being heard." She smiled faintly. "I'm not used to being challenged." Silence stretched, then she said it. "Lily's teacher emailed me." Jake stiffened. "Why?" "She thanked the company for approving your schedule change. Said Lily seems happier." Something warm cracked open in his chest. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not treating this like a PR stunt." Claire met his eyes. "I wouldn't dare." That was when Jake realized something dangerous was happening. This wasn't just respect anymore. It was connection. And connections blurred lines. Because the closer Jake and Claire worked together, the harder it became to pretend this was just business. Jake noticed the change before he admitted it to himself. It wasn't one big moment. It was 1,000 tiny ones. The way Claire remembered how he took his coffee. The way she paused meetings when she saw him rubbing his temples. The way she texted, "You home yet?" instead of "Did you finish the report?" That wasn't CEO behavior. That was something else, something dangerous. Jake tried to shut it down. He really did. This job mattered too much. Lily mattered more. Messing this up would be catastrophic, but life didn't care about his plans. One night, a system failure shut down half the operations floor. Everyone scrambled. Jake worked the phones. Claire stayed right beside him, sleeves rolled up, hair tied back, barking orders and fixing problems like she wasn't above the chaos. At 2:17 a.m., the issue was finally dead. The building emptied out until it was just the two of them and the hum of fluorescent lights. Claire leaned against the table, exhausted. "I forgot how brutal this feels." Jake handed her a bottle of water. "Welcome to my old life." She took a long drink. "I'm sorry it took me this long to understand." The silence that followed was thick. "Jake," she said quietly, "we should probably talk about this." He didn't pretend he didn't know what she meant. "Yeah, we should." She looked at the floor. "There are rules, power dynamics. HR would have a meltdown." "And Lily," Jake added, "she comes first." "Always," Claire said instantly. That mattered more than he expected. They stood there saying nothing, thinking everything. "I don't want to mess this up," Claire admitted. "I've already wrecked enough." Jake sighed. "I don't want to wake up one day and realize I let fear run my life again." Their eyes met. That was the moment, not a kiss, not a confession, just understanding. Later that week, Lily came home from school quieter than usual. "What's wrong, kiddo?" Jake asked. She kicked off her shoes. "Nothing." That meant everything. At dinner, she barely touched her food. "Did something happen?" Jake pressed. She hesitated. "Miss Reynolds asked if you're always tired because you work too much." Jake froze. "What did you say?" "I said it's better now," Lily said. "Because your boss lady fixed it." "Boss lady," Jake laughed despite himself. "Did she?" Lily nodded. "I like her." Jake's heart skipped. "You do?" "She listens," Lily said simply. "And she looks sad sometimes." "Like you used to?" That night, Jake lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Because Lily had just seen what he was trying not to. And the next time Claire came over for dinner, Jake realized there was no pretending anymore. Claire showed up for dinner with a paper bag from a bakery and the most nervous smile Jake had ever seen on her face. "I brought dessert," she said, "and backup dessert, in case the first one sucks." Jake snorted. "Smart move." Lily was already bouncing in her seat. "You're the boss lady," Claire blinked. "Is that good or bad?" "Good," Lily decided. "You fixed my dad." Jake opened his mouth to protest, then closed it. Some truths didn't need correcting. Dinner was messy. Chicken slightly overcooked, vegetables questionable. Lily spilled her drink, twice. Claire laughed like none of it mattered. That scared Jake. After Lily went to bed, they sat on opposite ends of the couch, the space between them louder than any conversation. "This is complicated," Claire said quietly. "Everything worth having is," Jake replied. She stared at her hands. "I don't know how to do this. I've never been good at people." Jake smiled faintly. "You're doing okay so far," she shook her head. "I'm terrified of messing this up, of hurting Lily, of hurting you." Jake leaned forward. "You're not the only one scared." She looked up. "Then why are we here? Because we don't want to be alone anymore." The words settled heavy but right. Claire swallowed. "I care about you, not as an employee, as a man." Jake's pulse spiked. "Say that again." "I care about you," she repeated, "and that scares the hell out of me." He moved closer, slow. "Good means it's real." They didn't kiss, not yet. They just sat there, shoulders touching, breathing in the same quiet. Later, as Claire stood to leave, Lily's door creaked open. "You're leaving already?" Lily asked sleepily. Claire crouched down. "I didn't want to wake you," Lily frowned. "You can stay longer next time." Claire glanced at Jake. Hope flickered. "I'd like that," Claire said. Jake realized then this wasn't a risk anymore. It was a choice. And when Claire admitted the truth she'd been holding back, Jake knew there was no turning around. The next few weeks didn't feel dramatic. They felt normal. And somehow that was scarier than chaos. Claire didn't barge into Jake's life. She eased in. Sunday afternoon coffees. Showing up at Lily's school play and sitting in the back like she didn't want credit. Helping with homework even when she clearly had no clue what the assignment was asking. Jake watched it all carefully. Too carefully. He'd learned the hard way that good things didn't stick around. One night, Lily was sprawled across the living room floor coloring while Jake washed dishes. Claire sat nearby, pretending to read emails while actually watching Lily like she was something fragile and precious. "Why don't you have kids?" Lily asked suddenly without looking up. Jake nearly dropped a plate. Claire blinked. "That's a big question," Lily shrugged. "You're nice. Nice people usually have kids." Claire smiled softly. "I was always too busy." Lily nodded. "My dad was too busy too, but now he's not." Jake froze. Claire's eyes flicked to him, full of something unspoken. Later that night, after Lily went to bed, Jake finally said what he'd been holding back. "She's getting attached." Claire didn't argue. "So am I. That's what scares me." Claire stepped closer. "Jake, I'm not here to play house. I don't do half commitments." He studied her face. No games, no spin. "Then what are you here for?" he asked. "For this," she said simply. "For the hard parts, for the scary parts." Jake exhaled. "I can't let her get hurt." "I know," Claire said. "Neither can I." The silence stretched. Then Claire whispered, "She asked me if I was going to be her family." Jake's heart slammed. "What did you say?" "I told her families are built, not rushed." That was the right answer, but it still terrified him. Because the truth was, this already felt built. And when Lily asked the one question Jake wasn't ready to answer, everything shifted again. The question came on a random Tuesday, not during some big emotional moment, not during a holiday or a crisis, just a Tuesday. Jake was tying Lily's shoes when she looked up at him, serious in that way kids get when they're about to say something that actually matters. "Dad," she said, "do you love Claire?" Jake's hands stilled. He didn't lie, he didn't dodge. "I care about her," he said carefully. Lily frowned. "That's not what I asked." Of course it wasn't. That night, after Lily was asleep, Jake sat alone in the kitchen staring at the same mug he'd been using all evening. His heart was pounding like he was about to walk into a storm. When Claire arrived, she could tell instantly something was different. "Okay," she said, setting down her bag. "What's going on?" Jake took a breath. "Lily asked if I love you." Claire froze. "And," she whispered. "I didn't answer," he admitted. "Because if I say it out loud, it makes everything real." Claire sat down slowly. "I've been terrified of that word my whole life." He looked at her. "Why?" "Because once you say it, you can lose it." Jake nodded. "I've already lost someone." Silence pressed in. "I love you," Claire said suddenly. The words were quiet, steady, not dramatic. Jake's breath caught. "I didn't plan to say it," she continued. "But it's true. I love you. I love Lily. I love who I am when I'm here." Jake stood and crossed the room. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Me too." He took her hands. "But I love you anyway." Claire's shoulders shook as she laughed and cried at the same time. They didn't rush the kiss. They let it happen slow, like something fragile and earned. Later, Claire whispered, "Do you think Lily already knows?" Jake smiled softly. "Kids always do." But loving each other was the easy part. What came next would test everything they'd built. 6 months later, Jake stood in the kitchen flipping pancakes that were already dangerously close to being burnt. Some things never changed. "Dad," Lily said from the table, "they're smoking." Jake waved it off. "That's just extra flavor." Claire leaned against the counter, laughing, wearing one of Jake's old hoodies like it belonged to her, because now it kind of did. Life hadn't turned perfect. It had turned honest. There were still hard days. Board meetings that drained Claire. Moments when Jake worried about messing things up. Nights when Lily had questions no adult was ever fully ready to answer. But they showed up, together. At work, the company was unrecognizable, transparent pay, real accountability, managers who knew their names and not just their numbers. Jake had become the kind of leader he'd always needed when he was drowning, and the teams noticed. But the real win wasn't the job. It was the quiet moments, the ones no promotion could buy. Like the night Lily came home upset after a rough day at school and Claire sat on the floor with her, listening, not fixing, just being there. Or the mornings Jake woke up before his alarm and realized, for the first time in years, he wasn't exhausted. One evening, as they cleaned up dinner together, Lily cleared her throat like she had something important to announce. "I talked to Aunt Megan," she said. Jake and Claire exchanged a look. "And," Jake asked carefully, "she said families don't have to start the same way." Claire froze. Lily looked up at her. "So if I asked you to be part of ours, would that be okay?" The room went completely still. Claire knelt in front of her, eyes shiny. "That would be more than okay." Lily smiled. "Good. Because I already tell people you're my bonus mom." Jake laughed through the lump in his throat. Later that night, when Lily was asleep, Jake and Claire sat on the couch in comfortable silence. "You know," Jake said, "none of this started because things went right." Claire smiled. "It started because we were honest." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Thank you for trusting me." He kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for choosing us." Outside, the city hummed. Inside, the apartment felt full in a way it never had before, not flashy, not perfect. Real. Sometimes life doesn't change all at once. Sometimes it knocks on your door when you're exhausted, angry, and least expecting it. And if you're brave enough to open that door, you might just find the family you didn't know you were missing. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and return to our channel for more life-changing, emotional, and heartwarming stories.